Hey everybody, it's Lynn from A Bit of Birdsong. I wanted to give you a quick tour of where I do most of my work. Some of you know that I have a beautiful workshop that's outside, but it's not conditioned space. I am in the process of transforming that from Papertown to a beautiful garden potting shed playhouse. So it's going to be just as magical, but I just think the air, the dampness, there were a lot of things about that workshop that I'm afraid will ruin my paper, photographs, fabric, and plus I like working inside with Jason being close by. Anyway, the playhouse potting shed, it needs a name. It's not Papertown anymore, so we've got to think of something. But it is going to be a place that Jason and I can just enjoy being in together. We love to work in the yard together, so we can enjoy it, and I've always wanted a potting shed, so I think it's going to be perfect, and I will show you that as soon as I can. Meanwhile, the dining room is my workshop, and I love it in here. I absolutely love it, and I wanted to just give you a quick tour. I'm doing the best I can to keep everything in here condensed and under control, but it's a process and I'm getting there. I feel I'm really, really close to having this room exactly the way I want it. So here we go. Okay, let's take a tour of my little Papertown now. Yes, it is full of stuff. You may wonder, how in the world can we bring company into this room and have a meal? But we can, we have, and we are going to do it yet again. These are a couple of little filing cabinets that I purchased very recently. I have bins of paper that I need to sort, and this will give me 4 drawers in which to organize things in hanging folders. That's going to get a lot of the paper off of the floor. Bins are really nice storage, and let me show you what I'm talking about. Yes, look at this huge stack. So I have fancy paper. Each one of those containers is something different. I see one is labeled Gothic. One has got book pages, and one has got fabric that I believe is mostly textile and upholstery, really thick pieces for book covers. And then if we get back here, there's one bin and another bin of paper. Got so much paper. Oh my goodness. When we back up, you can see the depth there. And here we have more containers. There are blue items for Big Blue. There is a container of Valentine ephemera, which I have things I need to add to. The box on the bottom has got Bohemian fabric scraps, and there is a container there that has vintage patterns. I think you can see those. So let me try to stand up without making you dizzy. You can see my cords there for the sewing machine. So let's just back up. And here is where I sew. I love to keep this table clean. When this table gets really cluttered, I don't function well at all. This is my new sewing machine. So far, I really, really love it. It's a good machine. This is the model number. It's got great reviews on Amazon. And I've been watching other crafting channels, people who talk about using Brother sewing machines, and this is one that has come up several times. So I went ahead and bought it, and so far I like it. I do a lot of sewing, paper and fabric, as we all do, and there have been a couple of times that I got an error, but I know that I was trying to push too much. So I need to back off. I don't want to tear it up right away. Then again, my old baby lock was a workhorse, and anyway, I think it was a much more expensive machine. I paid at least double for it back then compared to the brother now. So getting back in this direction, those two bins, those are full of fabric, and one is mostly light colored fabric. It doesn't look like that from here. One is mostly light and white. The other one, the one on the bottom, is mostly dark. It looks like it's light colored as well, but that's because there's a couple of big pieces of plain white fabric that I just put in there last night to get them out of the way. So that is fabric. I know it needs to be more organized. I look at that compared to my mom's sewing room, but we do totally different things. She works with large pieces of fabric, and for the most part with junk journals, we don't work like that. We use little scraps and pieces. So here is where I do my computer work, my listening to YouTube videos while I'm working. It's where I upload my videos, and I do my scanning and everything over in this area. There's my printer, scanner, and it is sitting on a plastic container that's got all of my printer paper in it, all different kinds. That box, I love that box. Not necessarily the design anymore, but this is what used to hold the Play-Doh that we had when my kids were little. And it was packed full of everything, all different colors, all of the different little things you could buy to make different things. And it sat up on top of a large cabinet, and I can just still hear the kids wanting me to pull that down and play. So that's full of paper that needs to be sorted. Down here, there's a stack of large books. There are wallpaper books that need to be, the paper needs to come out and be cut. And then close by, I have a box of files that I'm going through. I was the power of attorney for my dad when he got really sick, and I had him flown here to take care of him the best that I could. He was very, very sick. But a lot of this, he passed away in 2005, and I am in the process of shredding a lot of stuff. But that said, I keep a lot of my personal items in that basket right next to my right. You can see my traveler's notebook and my iPad and just some different things. There are containers everywhere. I'm really, really trying to condense and to be more and more organized. There's a 3-drawer plastic container there. You can see one drawer is sticking out. It is so packed full of vintage music. I can't even close it right now, so I need to do I need to list some things, people. Then back here we have baskets of scraps. That's where I was working on my prayer journals, the one on the top. The one on the bottom, let me just show you that. So let's move this one. This has got nothing but acrylic paint. I love this basket. It's a big basket. I think it was made in Africa, and it's just really neat. You can wet it and reshape it. But I also keep different cloths in there that I can clean with and wipe up acrylic paint and things like that. This basket is full of true vintage ephemera, playbills and cards, wedding announcements, all sorts of programs for different things. Now, over here I keep a basket full of things. I call them freebies, and it is what I send to customers when orders go out. I try to pick up you know, a few things to go in each order that goes out. Media mail is different. They have really strict rules. I don't think they open packages very frequently, but they can at any time open a media mail package to make sure it is only booked. You're not supposed to have cards or anything in media mail. So I don't always do that with media mail. I don't do it with media mail. I may put in a tag as a bookmark, but I don't put anything, you know, that I would have a package sent back. Then we have a shelf here. It is sitting on some fabric so that I can slide it around really easily. It's 2 crates, and I've just got different boxes. I have my spray inks in there. I have punches. I have a box of vintage flower petals, and I've got my oil pastels, just all sorts of things. And oh, I'm just loving my little tree in here. It gets decorated with whatever the season is. Of course, now we're in the Christmas season, and I have more ornaments to pull out, but I just love these little vintage wooden ornaments. Had some little angels. I believe they came from the scrap exchange. And I made this one. It's made from clay, and it has a little image on the front. And same with this one. And let's see. You might remember the little ornament I made from the little slide mount. And then we have the little Victorian angel ornament, and of course a bird. And what would it be without some paper ornaments? Okay, so also on this long table I have my buttons, some of them, and paintbrushes. I love this box, this old wooden box. That keeps some stamps and things that I use frequently. And let me just back up, move this chair back a little bit, and I will show you. That's a really long shelf that I found, and it used to be in my retail shop. I cleaned it up. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was some kind of maybe it was just a storage bench for like an entryway, because you can sit on it. It's really sturdy, and you can see how long it is. Let me show you underneath here. This is a really pretty vintage table scarf. You can see it has some tears in it, but I covered this tabletop in this really pretty fabric. Hang on. Of course, move these keys. You can see it's got like the dress forms. So that sat in my retail shop because, of course, I had clothing and things, and I wanted it to match, you know, the feeling in there. It's such a useful shelf. I've got all sorts of books that I pull from. Now let's see if I can back up and give you a view of where I spend a lot of time. So that is one of my work desks. You can see I have a lamp on either side. The one on the right is a vintage lamp that came from my retail store as well. Those two lamps, of course, match, and you're seeing all of my clutter. It's organized, though. I do love it. I love it in here. I love the little lights. So, coming over here to the desk, let's just sit down. So, I love these lamps. I recently found those at the Dollar Tree. They were $1 a piece, of course. And they make the best light. So they don't take up much space. They're sunbeam. Let's turn it off for right now though, so that you can, maybe this camera will adjust. I have a little shelf that's full of the wee yogurt containers, and they store all sorts of things. I have, of course, some of my clay dolls and original artwork and just other artwork that inspires me, things that I really like. Let's turn this light off as well. Have a vintage mirror that was in the shop, and more artwork, punches, and I have a little shelf that I really like. All sorts of things, and it's right there, easy to get to. This container is pretty neat. I don't think the lid was meant to go on there, but I found the two and they worked. So, and that's got rubber bands. Keep my tacky glue standing up in a wee container. And this desk usually has things that I'm working on currently. This is a journal that I'm working on, and I've been making some tassels. So that's that. You can see my new Jane Davenport drama sticks. I'm learning to work with those. And then close by, ooh, coffee. I don't want to make you dizzy. I'm trying really hard to do this so that it's smooth. Close by, I have a rolling 3-drawer stand, and it's got pencils, markers, pens. It's got paint brushes that are in water where I've been working on something. I keep my shredder close by, although most things either go in the trash or they get recycled. There's a recycle bin right around the corner in the kitchen. So this drawer has all sorts of stamps and ink. And then those 2 drawers have bird ephemera and bird paper for my boho bird journals. Here are containers of trim and beads and boho fabrics. Let's just walk right over here. So there are all sorts of pieces in here, as you can see. If I move this, that's a big container. It's heavy too. You can see these are vintage photographs. So things like this, they definitely need to be inside in a conditioned space. That's one of the reasons for the decision just to turn Papertown into, we need to think of a name for it. It's not going to be Papertown anymore. So there are postcards. Those are kits that are listed. Here is a bag of upholstery trim, and then here is a really pretty basket of thread. What have we left out? You can see that that's pretty self-explanatory. I think it's pretty neat. There's an art guitar I'm working on back there, and rolls of vintage wrapping paper. So this is where I work. This is where I spend a lot of my time. As this room evolves, oh, let's see, did we look in this little cabinet? I love lights. My future sister-in-law gave me these beautiful lights. She did, she takes art that's done on tins. Let's see if you can get a better look at that. And she adds really pretty paint. She's very artistic. So she gave me that. She did the little birdhouse. That That is a bear that Jason bought for me a few years back. And sweet little things in there that I like to be able to look at. The corgi back there, a really sweet friend of mine painted that. She's so talented. I will put a link to her Etsy shop. So over here we have lots of books. And these are little vintage photographs from the 1800s. A lot of journals that I've made, journals that I'm working on to sell, old books and papers. I love this postcard. This was written by a soldier after World War I, and he was waiting to come home. So that's truly one of my favorites. It's just, it is so beautiful. And I love this picture as well, hat shop. That used to hang in my retail store because I sold so many vintage hats, and this was perfect. I just put that old photograph in a frame and then stamped the words inside. So I'm going to stop here. Thank you so much for joining me. I really, really hope that I have not made anyone too dizzy. It's hard to do things like this with a camera phone. Well, with any kind of camera. I think it just takes a certain skill to be steady and move as if it's a natural movement of the eyes and head and body of the person who's watching. That's not easy to do, and I certainly have a lot to learn in that area. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.